Well, good morning, folks. It's Hugh from Asgard Studios here. This morning, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at configuring PID presets in Betaflight. So the folks at MEPS King have asked me to put together this little video just showing how to get this started. So PID tuning is a fairly complex and advanced process, but the act of applying the presets is actually pretty simple. So what are the PIDs? PID stands for proportional, integral, and derivative. And essentially what the PID is it's a control loop. It looks at where you have the sticks compared to where the gyro says the aircraft is at any given moment. So if you've got the sticks neutral and the aircraft suddenly banks because of wind, the flight controller will push back on that. And the PID loop looks at that and tries to check for any error or any mistakes in that response. So this is something that if you buy a ready-to-fly drone or a bind-and-fly drone, typically the manufacturers already have done this PID tuning for you, and you won't have to do anything. But if you're building something yourself, you have to do this PID tuning. Now, the presets are pretty much the way to go for most drones. So in this video, what we're going to do is put the PID presets on a smaller drone, a 3.5-inch drone, and they're pretty forgiving. The Betaflight presets even are pretty much fine as they are for a smaller drone. But we're going to actually pick a PID preset profile that kind of dials it up a little bit, I think. Now, the other thing that these presets also configure for you are your rates. And this basically, the rates are how fast your quad moves depending on how much stick movement you make. So you may want it really twitchy. If you're a freestyle pilot, you want to be able to move it just a little bit and have the drone flip really, really quickly, right? But if you're a cinematic pilot, you want that drone to move smoothly. You want to have nice, gentle, coordinated turns. And so anyway, so the rate profile will get set based on the options you select in the PID and rate profile preset panel. And yeah, you'll see all that in just a second. Okay, now I'm going to connect to the flight controller. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, just so that you know we have a fresh install, I'm going to type in BL for bootloader in the CLI, enter, and then that puts us into DFU mode, as you can see here, okay? So, then we're going to update firmware. Show release candidates, no. Choose board. The MEPS King folks are using the T-Motor F7 firmware. Just waiting for it to connect. 443, okay. Now you can also select some different build configurations here. Radio, protocols, Crossfire. I'm not using Acro Trainer. LED strip, nope. TX, okay. D-Shot, telemetry protocols included with Crossfire. Okay, load firmware. This will take a minute, it's got to compile. Okay, loaded firmware. All right, and then we'll go flash firmware. There we go, erasing. Now, I had previously used this F7 22 Mini on a 5-inch build, and I've repurposed it for this 3.5-inch build because I think it's probably better suited for that. You can certainly do a 5-inch with it, but I think because it's a nice mini stack, it'll be really good for this 3.5-inch I'm building. And this is with Chris Rosser's AOS 5 frame. Okay, programming successful. Let's connect. Okay, we're going to apply custom defaults. Sure. Okay, there's no motor output protocol. That's okay. Accelerometers enabled but not calibrated. Right. Okay, so we're going to set up. Make sure the flight controller is flat. Calibrate accelerometer. Just take a second. There we go. Then we will go to motor output. You could do this later. I always choose motor direction reversed, and we're gonna choose, so let's go D-Shot 300, that should be fine. Okay, save and reboot. Okay. Let's go back to the setup. Yeah, there's nothing here I have to do. Okay, ports. Probably going to come back to the ports tab in a minute. I'm going to have to look on the board and see which one I'm going to use. But what I want to show you here is we're going to use the presets function to basically put in a configuration, the PID configuration as well. Superfly FPV Freestyle 3/4 inch. So I think we will take this. This is one of the official tunes. And honestly, with a 3.5 inch build, you're really not going to have to do too much PID tuning, if any at all. Really, applying these presets should be the only thing you really need to do. If you're custom building your own 5-inch or 7-inch, for example, that's when you're going to really probably need to do some PID tuning if it's a custom build. But most of the ready-to-fly and bind-and-fly quads come with a PID tune already in place, and it's usually a good one developed by the manufacturers. So anyway, we're going to choose that. We will also have some options in the presets here. RPM filtering. We'll do our RPM filtering, but for that you have to have, I think, bidirectional D-Shot enabled. Take a look at that in a second. I'm going to choose my crossfire link, freestyle rates, smooth medium, sure. Okay, pick. Agree. Save and reboot, okay. There we go. Alright, so now, if I go to the PID, we should see that these sliders are not in the center position, so they've been altered by the PID profile that the preset gave us. So let's just look at some of the other profiles. So there's a default profile. There's just essentially nothing done on the PID sliders. But PID profile 1 is the Superfly PID preset. All right, so that pretty much wraps up putting a PID preset on your quad. There was a couple things I glossed over kind of quickly. The control link, for example, the 150 hertz crossfire, for example. How do you know if it's 50 or 150? I'm going to leave a link in the description to another video that describes that, because that's beyond the scope of what we can cover here, but that's something you should really know about as well. Anyway, yeah, so there's the PID preset. Now all you need to do is get out and fly your drone and see how things work. And as far as rates go, well, you can customize those based on how you're feeling after you've flown for a few minutes, you know, get a sense of whether they're right for you. Yeah, so anyway, go, fly, have some fun. Take care, guys, and thanks again to the MEPS team for sending me the parts. Take care.